Hi, I'm Jim Bell. I'm senator from San Jose, California, and thank you for coming to this hot day on the Capitol. But everybody knows here, building affordable housing is too important to show for not to show up for. And I thank you for supporting our bill SB 5. Today, we're going to hear from various voices why they support SB 5. We know the stats. There's an individual housing shortage, which is now a crisis point in our state of California for individuals and families throughout the state. More than 2.2 million extremely low and very low income renters are competing for only 664,000 housing rental units. That leaves 1.5 million of our lowest income families without access to affordable housing. Oops. I'm so grateful for Matthew Balling here today to share his story. And we have to remember people, the single mother, her children. Oops. See if we get this right. Okay. No, like that. Yeah. The single mother, her children, the veterans, working people who can't get ahead. That's what we fight for. And that's why we need to pass SB 5. Californians are being pushed into poverty and out of the streets because we don't have enough affordable housing units. And the state should do something about this. The state needs to be a partner. The partner is with the cities and counties, local government. We have to partner. And I'm proud to say that I'm a third. A third of my time in my public service career was cities, a third with counties, and a third in Sacramento as a legislature. So out of my 39 years, it breaks down like that, interesting enough, so everybody should know that. So I'm very much into having partnerships. And the most important partners are our cities. They're excited. They want to do something about housing. And that's the basis for SB 5. It's a paradigm shift for communities and building in ways that quality of life of California for all incomes. This bill includes priorities that we want shorter commutes for everyone so they can spend more time with their families and not spend so much time in their cars causing air pollution. We want to be planning and building for the future, a sustainable future for all Californians. We don't want to create a future that traps renters in a cycle of poverty because they're working just to pay rent and always on the brink of homelessness. That's too much stress. And I thank everybody, labor, affordable housing builders, advocates, our wonderful city leaders, business advocates. You are the front line on this issue, and I thank you for your support for this bill. And we have some speakers, and we'll turn it over to where's Senator McGuire? Michael McGuire. Michael McGuire is in the back. What are you doing back there, Michael? So I'll turn it over to Michael McGuire.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? Ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to say thank you to the incredible work of city leaders from all across the state who are here with us. Give them a round of applause, please. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your work. And ladies and gentlemen, we have the hardworking men and women from the building trades here today who are on the front lines building affordable housing for working families and seniors, and we need to say thank you to them as well. Let's give them a round of applause, please. I want to say thank you to the individual to my left, and that's Senator Bell. There has not been another member of this legislature who has been as a hardworking advocate for the issue of affordable housing than Senator Jim Bell from San Jose. And I want to say thank you so much to Senator Bell. And then our partner, Mr. Mullen from the State Assembly. Let's give him a round of applause, please, and say thank you. Bottom line is this: we are all united today, and we have come together because we have an affordable housing crisis here in the Golden State. And while Senator Bell is from San Jose and Mr. Mullen from the Bay Area, I represent one of the more rural areas of the state. But one thing that is uniting us, what's united us is that we're on the same page on the issue of affordable housing. We need to be able to get the job done and build more affordable units in big cities and small all across the Golden State. We need to be able to house, absolutely, we need to be able to house, desperately needed, need to be able to house seniors and working families, and we need to be able to put those funds into the hands of local government. Time and time again, we have heard that the state needs to develop a permanent revenue source to help build affordable housing here in California. And this is the year that we're going to do it by working together. If we're going to build the 1.5 million affordable units needed across the Golden State, then we need to step up. We all need to be able to step up to the plate and partner with local governments and these hard-working leaders who are here today to help finance that construction, to help those working families and seniors get into the homes that they so desperately deserve. SB 5 will put $1.5 billion to work for affordable housing. 50% of all the funds will be dedicated to affordable housing. Other funds will be invested in those costs such as sewer and water hookups, as well as electrical hookups, to be able to drive down the cost of affordable housing units. We have taxpayer protection in this bill as well, with strict state oversight. And this bill will forever protect K-12 public schools, guaranteeing a backfill that goes to K-12 public education. And I got to tell you, there's two hearts to our every community. Number one, our public schools. And number two, affordable housing. And they go together. And the great thing about this bill will advance both, and we need to be able to get behind it. And this bill will keep California the Golden State. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
So Kevin Mullen has some local government experience, and I'll turn it over to Kevin. And I'm pleased to work with Kevin's father and now Kevin. So I'll turn it over to the Mullen, that's the Mullen of the day, Kevin Mullen.
Thank you so much, Senator. If the Senator's a third, and a third, I'm a 50-50. 6 years on the South San Francisco City Council, and now 6 years serving in that beautiful building in the state legislature and the state assembly. I'm the Speaker Pro Tem of the state assembly, Kevin Mullen, proud to represent the 22nd Assembly District, which is San Mateo County. And too often we use the term crisis in that building I referenced, but the lack of affordable housing is truly of crisis proportions, and not only a Bay Area problem, although Jim and I hail from the Bay Area. This is a statewide issue, a statewide problem being felt across the state of California. So I'm here to thank Senator Bell and thank Senator McGuire for carrying SB 5. Simply put, SB 5 will increase the affordable housing stock in California. Once enacted, the partnership between state and local government will provide an immediate infusion of revenue that local governments can use to build the necessary infrastructure and up to 86,000 units of affordable housing over the next decade. That's why I'm here today in strong support of SB 5. We need to enact this bill and others to attack this crisis. I look forward to SB 5 arriving intact in the Assembly, where I would like to join as a co-author. And my approach on this is, if the state of California is going to be putting new requirements on local governments, then we need to be providing funding options and flexibility for locals to meet those requirements. And that is why I stand firm with you all in support of SB 5, and thank you all for assembling today. Let's get it done.
Wonderful, Kevin. Now we're going to go to the League of Cities. The League of Cities, an organization that I was involved in when I was a city council member. It's a great organization. We're going to have the president of the League of Cities and council member from Grass Valley, Jan Arbuckle, come forward. And I think Grass Valley is the biggest city in Nevada County. Is that right? So we'll have Jan come forward and speak for our partner with the cities, Jan Arbuckle. Jan, turn it over to you. Right behind you.
I'm really short.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm really short, so I kind of hide. Good afternoon. I'm Jan Arbuckle, a council member from the rural city of Grass Valley and president of the League of California Cities. I also co-chaired the League CSAC Joint Homelessness Task Force. Housing affordability is a major problem affecting every city in California, even in smaller rural cities like mine. Working families are spending too much of their monthly income on housing. Housing costs are crowding out their ability to pay for other basic needs like clothing, transportation, utilities, and even healthcare costs. Many people are on one emergency expense away from being homeless. And from my work on the Homeless Task Force, I can tell you with certainty that families are struggling with this very real crisis in every single part of this state. It's a complex problem to fix, but there's one thing we know will help. We need to build more affordable housing now. SB 5 forms a partnership between local governments and the state to provide the sustainable funding we need to build the housing, especially housing for lower income families. SB 5 is the only bill this year that will translate into actual homes being built in a relatively short order. When the state abolished redevelopment in 2011, it wiped out the only source of ongoing funding available to local governments to build affordable housing and support infrastructure development. Since then, cities have been struggling to incentivize the building of affordable housing. Existing housing financing tools available to cities and counties have failed to provide local governments with the tools necessary to actually result in housing being built. And without significant incentives, developers have been reluctant to build affordable units because it just doesn't pencil. SB 5 will infuse local governments with between $200 and $250 million annually to be used to subsidize affordable housing development. This funding will be the difference that will actually result in housing construction. It is estimated that SB 5 funding could result in the construction of up to 86,000 units of affordable housing over the next decade. There are a lot of housing bills moving through the legislature this year, and there are many worthy of support because they will help address the affordable housing shortage in some way. But none will be as immediately effective and have a long-term positive impact like SB 5. The League of California Cities stands strongly behind Senators Beall and McGuire. SB 5 will help us build affordable housing for our families now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Appreciate it. Now, isn't that great? We have the League of Cities backing us. And next, we'll have Tyrone Bleckley, and Tyrone's policy director at Housing California. Since 1988, Housing California has been working on preventing, ending homelessness, and increasing the variety and supply of safe, stable, accessible, and permanently affordable housing. They do great work. Tyrone, and I enjoyed being on the campaign trail last year on Proposition 1 with Tyrone, so it's good to have Tyrone here. Tyrone, I'll turn it over to you. Here he is.
Yeah, no problem. Jan had the right idea with the sunglasses. It's bright out here. First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much, Senators Beall and McGuire. Thank you for heeding the call from communities across the state to invest in affordable homes for Californians who are struggling to keep up with drastically rising rents. Housing California is a statewide nonprofit whose goal is to ensure that everyone in California, regardless of their income, has a safe, stable, affordable home. And our work has a central thesis. When we all have housing stability, we all have communities that do better. We know that public investment is needed to reach this goal. Our state invests in infrastructure, education, health, and mortgage interest deductions for home ownership. What's missing and has exacerbated the struggles of lower income families and seniors who rent is a lack of public investment in affordable rental homes. When the state cut its investment in affordable housing 7 years ago, we saw a 14% rise in homelessness. At about the same time, many Californians who were targets of bad mortgage loans lost their homes and found themselves forced into an already tight rental market. And investment is key because we know there are limitations to how much the market can help us dig our way out of this problem. The market often fails to produce housing for people who need it most. Current state investments in affordable rental housing is not enough to help the 1.4 million households waiting for stable homes. And we can all agree that a place to call home should not be only for those who can afford it. Yet in every California city, the majority of families and seniors who earn the least are spending the most of their money on rent. This leaves little for food, transportation to work, health care, let alone resources for their children and savings for emergencies. We are a strong and wealthy state, and Housing California believes smart investment, like Senate Bill 5, is an important piece of the puzzle to achieving affordable, equitable communities. That's why we support SB 5 and urge the legislature and governor to include it as one of the key solutions it passes to decrease homelessness and stabilize entire communities. When you hear from our next speaker, you'll be able to better understand why we specifically want quality affordable housing like the kind SB 5 will build. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now let's get down to like why we're all here. We're grateful to have Matthew Balling here. Matthew is a husband and father and a son and knows firsthand how important stable housing is for children. And we'll have Matthew say a few words and tell you about himself and his experience on finding affordable housing. So Matthew, turn it over to Matthew.
How you guys doing? All right, my name is Matthew Balling, and I'm a Davis resident and community leader at the New Harmony Mutual Housing California apartment community. Thank you for having me. Thank you to Senator Beall and his staff, the team for SB 5, and the continued support for quality, affordable housing that is available to families like mine whose incomes are struggling to keep up with the rising rent prices. I was born and raised around the Sacramento area. My mother raised me as a single parent. We were always in low-income situations. After being teased by kids in junior high for living in trailer parks, I begged my mom to get us into an apartment. It was a Section 8 apartment. The wait list was long. My mom often struggled to find safe and affordable places for us to live. When I was 10, we lived in a town where many kids maybe made it to the 8th grade and that was it, or they were either hooked on drugs, alcohol, and did not attend high school. There were very little resources to help youth and families. When I was single, I got on the waiting list for affordable housing. After about a year and a half of waiting, I settled for an apartment in Sacramento that I could afford in a place a lot of us may call the hood. Prostitution and pimping in the parking lot. Sometimes my neighbors and I would step out when we would hear cracks and pops and bangs, and we would look at each other and we would say, those were fireworks this time. Those weren't gunshots again. And so we couldn't really tell. So that was the neighborhood we stayed in before my family and I came up on the list for mutual housing in Davis. When I got married, my perception changed. I was fine living where I was living. I'd probably still be living there today. But having a wife and 2 girls, we decided we needed a safer place to live where they could thrive. And my wife felt safe walking to her car, coming to and from work. By that time, 5 years had passed, and my name came up on the New Harmony Mutual Housing community for a 3-bedroom. My wife and I were ecstatic. It was right. It was the right time. After living at New Harmony for 6 months, my wife and I are grateful. The living conditions are better. The laundry service, the community room, the playgrounds are cleaner. The parking lot's safer, and more importantly, the office staff are more caring and considerate. Because of the service our mutual housing in New Harmony provides, my wife and I have a lower stress level than the place where we used to live. It's crazy how some of our area codes, zip codes, can determine our stress level, but our stress level has gone down since we lived in affordable housing, mutual housing. New Harmony is the best place. I already said that. I usually don't go off of written speeches, but and So affordable housing, I'm thankful because it enables me to do the work that I do. I do a lot of volunteer work. I do a lot of ministry. For example, I'm with an In and Out mentoring organization. We mentor youth on the in and outside of juvenile hall to prevent recidivism. And so if I couldn't donate my time, that work couldn't go forth. And so on that note too, the youth coming out of juvenile hall, they're often placed in situations on the outside that are worse than being incarcerated on the inside. Some youth even face homelessness. So I think if the youth that we served, if they knew about mutual housing and affordable housing, they knew, that there are nice places out there to live that they can afford to live in. I think that would give them an incentive to do better and keep fighting the good fight and keep making money the right way and stay out of incarceration, and the recidivism rate would go down. I'm also grateful for the response and work of my fellow resident leaders across mutual housing as a part of the RUN, the Resident Unified Network in Housing California, who advocate for safe, affordable housing for all. We definitely need more affordable housing for people with lower incomes throughout California so that we can have the chance at stability and equality. I do not know what the future looks like in California with rents rising like they do, but I imagine there will be more homelessness, more families struggling, and more youth receding back into incarceration. I pray SB 5 passes to ensure every person in California has the opportunity to succeed. Thank you.
No, that's mine. You can tell how Matthew's headed to be a preacher, I think. Now we're going to hear from our people that build the housing. And that's Cesar Diaz. He's the legislative director for the state building construction trades. These are the guys that actually build our housing that we're talking about. Cesar Diaz, come on. Where is he? Oh, he's behind him.
Thank you very much, Senator. Senator Bell, Senator McGuire, Assemblymember Mullen. It's an honor to be here amongst you all to give support to SB 5, which we're strongly supporting. And thank you to our construction workers and their leaders and representatives. What you just heard was a speech of why it's important to make sure that the investment in housing comes with good quality construction jobs. Our members are also struggling to make ends meet. A lot of their paychecks are also going for housing costs and the escalating rents. But we're also trying to reach out to the legislature so that we can let them know the issues are important. So when we're building these homes, where they're built with quality, but also that the investment also attracts new opportunities so that the foster youth, the people that are coming out of juvenile hall, have the opportunity to enter an apprenticeship program and earn their high quality career in the building and construction trades. We believe this investment will actually attract those high quality jobs and do twofold. Not only provide those most in need with affordable housing units, but also create an investment so that more people enter our trades and enter the middle class, which is why we need more middle class jobs. We're having these problems because of income inequality. This is very important for us to do this. We're standing very strong support. This is an essential part of the package of bills that are going through the legislative process. Affordable housing has to be treated as infrastructure, has to be treated as important as transportation, as important as environmental policies, as utilities. It has to be an ongoing thing, and this is the only bill to achieve that. So for that, we thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. You know, how about all these carpenters we have around here? Carpenters. Wow, I noticed all the carpenters here. You know, they want to get out. They don't want to be out here. They want to be out building the housing, right? So let's get this bill passed, okay? So last but never least is business community leader Matt Reagan. He's been a strong advocate for affordable housing. And I'm going to hear from Matt Reagan from the Bay Area Council. Matt? Oh, who's speaking? Matt? Cornelius. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't get that right. Cornelius is subbing.
Yes, thank you so much, Senator Bell. Good afternoon, everyone. Cornelius Burke with the Bay Area Council. We represent 300 of the top employers in the Bay Area, and survey after survey of business owners, CEOs would tell you that housing is making it very difficult to attract and retain workers. SB 5 is a jobs bill. It's a bill to save California out of this crisis. We need to pass this bill immediately. It's a game changer. We need to end poverty, which is housing is the number one driver of poverty, and we need to end that today. Please pass SB 5. Thank you so much, Senator Bell. Senator McGuire.
So it's going to take all of us here together to move this bill, SB 5, forward and move Governor Newsom and the legislature forward in the right direction. We need an ongoing, permanent source of funding for affordable housing, not one-time funding. So this is what we're striving for, and if we can get this passed, we will succeed in having that. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Let's get behind this bill and start working on it today. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.